shag rug trail. I'm looping through the lava lamp, leaving a tail. My whoop's got rhythm, my stick's got soul. I'm the pilot of the party. On a roll, TV remote's a gate, the lamps a dive. I'm flying like it's 7.5. No GPS, no rules, no shame. Just a funky little quad in a soul train frame. Low, we fly that flow. Grab that gap. No time to nap. No time to nap. Hit that roll. Funk and control. Funk and control. Bounce that wall. Bounce that all. We fly it all. Funk it all. We fly it all. Funky and free, we fly indoors, we fly with glee. Whoop it, loop it, groove it, move it, bounce it, flip it, funk it, rip it, fly that soul, don't lose control. Tiny whoop love gonna make you whole. I thread the needle through the vinyl stacks, bounce off the mirror ball, never looking back. My quad's got soul, it's got style, it's got sass. It dips through the incense like a blast from the past. I'm flying figure eights through the lava lamp glow, dodging house plants like a funky pro. My whoop's got rhythm, my stick's got heat. I'm the pilot of the party with the grooviest beat. I loop through the hallway, I dive by the broom. I'm the disco ghost in your living room. I hit that split that's over grandma's chair. She just claps and says, boy, you got flair. I'm flying freestyle with a velvet touch. My quad so smooth it don't need a clutch. From the shag rug to the ceiling fan, I'm the funky little fly with a master plan. The curtains dancing on the breeze, freestyle funk in my living room with ease. Tiny whoop magic bumping every wall. I'm the James Brown of flight, can't stop at all.
Greetings, my name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to the show. It's Monday Q&A. I'm going to teach you guys how to do indoor Matty flips today. They're not nearly as hard as you'd think. The focus figuring its shit out. Come on, Sony A5100. You've been really good. Don't let me down, or I'll ship you back to, I don't know. Where did Garfield used to ship Odie? I'll be impressed if anybody knows that. Garfield used to ship Odie somewhere. I forget where it was. Was it Afghanistan? Might have been. Denzel the Terrible says, you were wearing that t-shirt yesterday. I was wondering about that. I was wondering if I was wearing this shirt yesterday. Look, we are in, this is important. We are in the week between Christmas and New Year's. And this is the week that you should become an actual couch. Abu Dhabi, that's it. Yeah, do it. Be a literal couch this week. Just do absolutely nothing. Be the biggest worthless shit, because this is your only chance to do that all year long. I fell asleep on the couch today for like 4 fucking hours. I accomplished nothing today. And I'm pleased about that. I have, this is it, man. This is your week. This is your week to just be absolutely and utterly worthless, and recharge for another year of absolute hell on Earth here in the U.S. So, you know, go for it. But it focuses pretty quick, man. It's pretty quick. Cameras that are less than 20 years old are pretty impressive. I gotta be honest. I'm also going to do a little health check on... So, the intro there, you were watching me crash test my frame. This is an analog... this is the very first prototype of my frame, and it's the one without the split base plate. It's got a solid base plate and like a regular sandwich plate down here. The arms are exactly the same, though. Ryan and I have not changed the arm design. And so I put this together with all old shitty parts. God knows what this ESC is. The flight controller is actually kind of nice. It's a Talon F7. Random like Runcam Racer 2, I think, or 17 camera. Analog. It does have ELRS. And then old RCX 1304 5000 kV motors. And then at the moment I'm running Gemfan 3016 tri-blades on it, just because I have a ton of these tri-blades, and I typically don't really use these because they're more of like a toothpick propeller. And yeah, I've been taking this out and just smashing it into stuff to see where it'll break. And that's what you were kind of seeing there. I'm not just blasting it into things. I'm just flying like very reckless. Man, I feel like the autofocus is not working very well tonight. Is the lens dirty? Did I get a smudgy on the lens or something? Probably not, but it's worth trying. Hey, if you want to take better pictures with your phone, clean your goddamn lenses. Every single picture you've ever taken that's not like pretty beautifully sharp with a somewhat modern phone is because your lenses were dirty. They get dirty. You touch them and it makes a huge difference. I swear, I shit you not. It is the one thing that you can do to take better pictures with your phone. And you might as well, because that's the only camera you're taking pictures with anymore. I spent 15 years like really doing tons of photography and image editing, and I can't remember the last time I took a picture with a proper camera. The best camera is the one that you have with you when the cool thing is happening. It's true. Yeah, so I'm going to show you how to do a little health check on your quad tonight, because I need to do a little health check on this. That session there battered this thing absolutely to death, to the point where like it was at full throttle. It was like barely gaining altitude. I think it was because motor number 4 shit the bed. The motor wires had broken here, and so I switched that out. I put a fresh motor on here. These props are pretty well demolished, so we'll pull the props off, and yeah, I'll show you how to do a quick health check. It's basically just spin the motors up and see how hard they're vibrating, but there is a little bit of nuance to it. And so we'll do that, and then I've got 6 NX69 batteries on the charger right now. That should be plenty for me to show you a little bit of like a step-by-step on how to do Matty flips inside the house. It is incredibly fun. You know, a lot of people can't even do Matty flips outside. They're not much harder inside. You could maybe even argue that they're easier inside, because you're forced to do them within like 8 feet of vertical space. One of the big problems that people have with Matty flips outside is they just hammer the throttle and they send, you know, the rig 100 feet up. Well, now you've got a 100-foot drop to try to figure out when you're going to hit the throttle. And a lot of times you'll hit the throttle at the wrong time, and you won't go under the object that you jumped over, or you'll drive it into the dirt. Limiting yourself to an 8-foot ceiling is going to force you to not throw the thing up into the clouds, and that's actually going to help you get the thing back under and through. And so, yeah, learn them inside, and then you'll be able to do them outside easier. I mean, you'll be able to do them outside, but when you start doing them outside, you'll do them a lot tighter. They'll look a lot better, yeah, you'll just be able to do Matty flips, because it's really just the opposite of a power loop. Like it's Matty flip is the move that gets kind of overcomplicated the most. When I teach those in the sim sessions that I offer through my Fiverr, which is linked over on CiottiFPV.com, everybody that like comes in having tried them before has all these sort of like preconceived notions about what they have to do, and they're just super overthinking it. It's 2 hits of throttle, and it's a little bit of patience, and it's just understanding like the path that the quad is going to take. And typically once I spend a couple of minutes going through that with them and showing it to them while they can look at my stick overlay, the light bulb turns on, and then, you know, over the next like 10 or 15 minutes, they're nailing Matty flips, and away you go. Once you know them, you kind of know them. It's just there's a couple little things. So yeah, we'll dive into it, and you will all be able to Matty flip inside the house over and over and over again, perfectly accurately by the end of the but by midnight Eastern time. It'll still definitely take some trial and error and a bunch of stick time, but it's well worth it. And like knowing the basics of it will actually make it possible. You'll essentially be able to like do them without it, because of the fact that you're kind of hitting the throttle blindly on the way down. A lot of times like Matty flips are just like pray now. It's and that's not it. If you have a little bit of understanding of it, you can actually approach it with, you know, actual knowledge rather than just crossing your fingers. In the chat, GiddyBots was first, Sporny FPV, Green Thumb, Level 1 Drone, Frank Nicholas, Natter, License to Drive, Whoop Fox, Sporny, Jimmy the Cow, Just on Task, or no, Just on Task, Jimmy the Cow, Jeremy P, Phil Bradley, Uke, Can I Get a Channel, Skull 901, Notice, Alex Brain, Danzil the Terrible, Capital C, Zip FPV, Really Good Bad Boy, Danzil the Terrible again, Phil Bradley again, Jimmy the Cow again. Look at all those repeats. Hold on. Trying to work through the repeat. Oh, come on, YouTube! Don't scroll me to the bottom. I don't know where I was, you jackass. Where the hell was I? I'm gonna miss somebody. Blame YouTube. They scrolled me to the bottom when I didn't want them to. Gangrene? No, Gain Green. What is that? Gain Green Eow. Meow? Green Meow? I can't make hide nor hair of that screen name. Skirty Curtis, that's a fun one. Level 1 Drone again. Bill Bob. Zip. Can I Get a Channel again? C2C. C2C World News. That's a very official name there. Nightwing's in the house. What's up, brother? Pitch and wait. Yeah, that's about it. Nightwing knows. A little bit more to it than that, but that's a great 3-word description of how to do Matty flips. Somebody said, "What is a Matty flip?" It's just a front flip, essentially. It's a front flip where you're like, if this is the object, if there's an object right in the middle of the screen here, you're gonna go over the object, you're gonna pitch forward, and then you're gonna come out under the object. Bonus points if you keep going and then go back over the object. But that's basically it. It's a front flip around an object. A power loop is a back flip around an object. You can ramp up the difficulty like I do in the basement here, and you can have like a hanging gate and then a cube on the ground. And so you go through the cube, you go inverted through the hanging gate, and then you go back through the cube. Or with a Matty flip, you go through the hanging gate, backwards through the cube, and then, I mean, at that point, it's kind of done, but like you might as well go back through the hanging gate. Kololo, Matrix, Tanky, Daytona Jim, thank you for the super chat, much appreciated. He says, "What's up?" CiottiFPV.com is where you guys can go if you don't want to do a super chat to support me. This is a totally crowdfunded thing that I've been doing for the last 4 years. This way, when I review something, I'm just completely honest. I'm not relying on anyone to send me anything. If any of these companies want to send me something, I very candidly tell them, like, if it sucks, I'm going to tell everyone it sucks. I'm not pulling any punches. You send me something good, I'm going to say it's good. I'm going to give you lots of valuable feedback, hopefully, that you can take and improve the product. But, you know, there are no reviews that I do that are like, well, I hope they send me more shit. No. You guys support me, so I'm completely honest with you. This is something that I kind of stole. This is an approach that I sort of stole from Joshua, to be honest. He has always been like that as well. So yeah, Discord is the way that you can support me the most. They take the least amount of a cut. And it's like a monthly thing. You can get on there for $3 whole a month. That's like 10 cents a day. I stream pretty much every other day. You can't tell me that it's not worth 20 cents to learn how to do Matty flips inside the house. Come on, dude. Every single person you know, your friends, your family, they're going to see you do a Matty flip inside the house, and they're going to be like, holy shit, you are the best pilot on earth. Let me give you a back rub. That's not really a back rub. That's a back chop. But, like, your life will become immeasurably better when you learn to do Matty flips inside the house, and it'll basically only cost you $20 if you join the $3 tier on my Patreon. There's also a $5 a month tier, $2 extra, and you will automatically get entered into giveaways the first Monday of every single month. So like a week from today, right? Yep, a week from today will be the January 2026 giveaway. There are 3 different tiers for patrons: $5, $10, $15 a month. Tiny Whoop and Toothpick parts, 3-inch Cinewhoop and 3-inch and Cinewhoop parts, 5-inch parts. If you want to support me like crazy and you've got an extra $1 a day, there's a $30 a month tier that'll enter you into all 3 of those giveaways. These happen first Monday of every month. You don't have to be on the stream. You're just automatically entered because Patreon allows me to do that. With the way that I can like export CSVs, and yeah, there you go. There's how you win some shit. There's also a link to Fiverr over there, or you can just message me and we'll set up a session if you really want to learn a lot fast. We can work in the sim together. I can help you do the perfect build with all the perfect parts for exactly your use. I can teach you how to tune. You can just throw 30 to 60 minutes of questions at me. Whatever you want. You're just basically buying a chunk of my time, right? There's an Etsy store where you can buy lots of fun stuff, treat yourself. There is a Teespring store where you can buy shirts not like this one, and lots of affiliate links. Change your bookmarks, or if you type like AMA for Amazon into the URL bar and then you just hit return because it auto-suggests the rest of it, change those to someone's affiliate link. Support someone here making stuff on YouTube that you watch for free, cool? If you use bookmarks, it's easy. If you use the auto suggest thing, you gotta like type AMA, it'll suggest regular old Amazon.com, and then just remove that suggestion and then hit someone's Amazon affiliate link like 4 or 5 times in a row, and your browser will be like, oh, that's where you want to go every time you type AMA for Amazon. I've got like a dozen affiliate links, so like do one per live stream. Every time you watch someone's content for free, take a couple of minutes to change to look at their affiliate links and change one of your auto suggests or one of your bookmarks to one of their affiliate links, and then maybe they'll be able to keep making stuff for you to watch for free on YouTube. Otherwise, they'll starve to death and die. Look how skinny I already am. I'm like 3/4 of the way there. If you want to talk directly to me in the chat, type at CiottiFPV. Massive shout out to Frank Nicholas for sending me these little keychain things that he 3D printed, obviously on a multicolor AMS. Every single Etsy order or every single giveaway for the next however long these last will get a little tiny keychain of Teddy the mini schnauzer that I have now power looped twice, but probably never will again. Thank you so much, Frank. This is absolutely hysterical. And whoever did the design for this, I don't know who did this design. Maybe Frank just found the design online, but boy, oh boy, does that look just like Teddy. So yeah, order something from my Etsy store, and soon enough, and you'll get a little Teddy keychain. Thanks to Frank Nicholas. Coolest community ever, man. We really have such an insane group of people. We all hang out a lot on Discord. Lots of cool shit going on over there. You'll get full Discord access if you join my Patreon, but there's like at least a half a dozen text channels that are open to anyone over there, even if you're not a patron. Link is over on CiottiFPV.com. Hey, and there's also a search engine that Craig designed, which will search it'll search all my live streams linked on CiottiFPV.com. So like if you remember me saying something but you can't remember the specific live stream, because how on earth would you remember the specific live stream now that I've done over 1,000? You can use the search engine that Craig designed. It works really, really well. It's pretty magical. Or just if you have a question and you want the answer to that question from someone who actually knows things, rather than the depth of despair that is Facebook groups and Reddit, which are an excellent place to get literally, not even kidding, worse than 50% bad answers. It is worse than 50-50. If you ask a question on Facebook groups or Discord, there is literally a better chance that you will get a completely wrong answer than an answer that even resembles truth or fact or whatever. So trust those of us that are, either like doing this for a living or just have been around a long time and pay attention to all the technical stuff, because it can cost you money. Like, you ask what the right flight controller is for your setup, and somebody just randomly suggests whatever their favorite flight controller is without having any idea of like what would actually work best for you. And then you buy it and it doesn't work at all. And you just blew, at this point, $1,000 with how expensive shit has become. Or you put a prop on backwards and chop your finger off. We don't want that. Nobody wants to be Nine Toes Larry. Phil Bradley says, have you dropped the Teddy tune at dance class? No. I teach a couples beginner dance class every Sunday night for anybody that's new around here. Basically, 2 years ago, almost exactly 2 years ago, my partner Maggie was a belly dancer for much of her 20s, and did a bunch of like salsa dancing as well. She found a local. It was actually at the bar where we first met, where we had our first date. Not where we met. We met on Match.com. But yeah, where we had our first date, a place called Slow Pour right down the street from us. She found a couples beginners dance class there. And we went, and it was a blast. And it was taught by a guy named Wilder Smith. Super cool cat, very interesting guy. And he had this business that he called Reframed, and he went to different bars every night of the week and taught these beginner dance classes, couples dance classes. So this is like 2024. Pretty much all of 2024, Maggie and I went to his class every single Sunday night, and we had so much fun. Met lots of cool people. I learned to dance for the first time in my life. Not actual dancing, but like couples dancing. So like you take the other person away from me, and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But yeah, learned how to dance. Got to know and become friends with Wilder. He's who introduced me to West Coast Swing. One of the cooler forms of dance nowadays. And we knew that he had anxiety. We didn't realize that he had such severe depression. And unfortunately, a couple of weeks after the election, Wilder took his own life. And I just could not stomach letting this community that he built and this amazing dance class on Sundays disappear. And so even though I was not ready to kind of jump into it, I just said, you know what? No, like nobody else was going to do it. And I just said, okay, I'm going to figure this out. And I started teaching that Sunday dance class. Initially, I was kind of hoping that some of the other folks that had been going a lot would kind of help me out with it. But they didn't, and that's okay. They just didn't feel comfortable doing it. He would always like call me his Padawan. I could always tell that he was super proud of me, because like I came in there with like no background whatsoever. I couldn't, I had no idea. Luckily, I was a drummer from the age of 9 all the way through college, so I have sort of like infinite rhythm. But like I had no dancing ability whatsoever, and in the 10 or 11 months, 9 or 10 months, I guess, that Wilder and I hung out every Sunday, I figured it out, and I don't know, I definitely didn't get good, but I got like somewhat competent, enough so that for the last year now, I've been teaching that class, and it's some other people in the reframed community have spent a bunch of time getting reframed set up as a nonprofit, and that is now what it is. It is a full-blown nonprofit where a couple of us teach dance classes one night a week for free. People can donate to the nonprofit if they want, but we do it as volunteers, and yeah, it feels really good. From the perspective of, like, I've done a good amount of volunteer work in my 44 years on this planet, and I've just met, like, the coolest fucking people, right? Like, when you do volunteer work and you meet other people willing to do volunteer work, they're pretty awesome people, right? Like, and so this feels really good to just do it, like, as volunteer work, but it also feels really good to kind of keep the memory of something super cool that Wilder built alive. And so, yeah. But I have not played the Teddy song, nor will I at dance class. I pretty much stick with like pretty contemporary, like West Coast swing music. If you go on Spotify and search for West Coast swing, there's 5,000 playlists. That's the kind of music that I stick with. It's contemporary. It's just like pop. Pretty good stuff though. Pretty cool stuff. Denzel the Terrible says, we got that. Denzel also says it's okay. I'm wearing the same shirt too. Nice. Level 1 drone says, awesome. 65 versus 75 millimeter with 04 air unit. Which do you suggest? Do they suck battery life more than analog? Level 1 drone asked this question over on Joshua's live stream, and I told him to come over here and ask it because I can't type the answer to that question. If you want all the information on that exact question there, all of this year, like, I got 04 light pretty early in the year in 2025, and I have probably 100 live streams about it, because I live stream every other day and there's 365 days a year. So there's probably around 100 live streams with information on 65 versus 75, 04 versus analog, 04 versus Walksnail, 04 versus HD0. And so, like, if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, it's here on my channel. You can use the search on the channel. Here's a little trick for people. Most people don't know this. On any, by the way, I'm using Brave. You guys told me to use Brave enough times that I finally did it. I'm not running Firefox or Chrome right now, and I've not gotten the message in OBS saying your shit's overloaded. Close some stuff out. So it's pretty obvious immediately that Brave is less resource intensive than Chrome and or Firefox. So thank you guys for beating me into it. I think Frank Nichols was the first one to tell me to use Brave. But yeah, I typically need to be told something by at least a few different people, or at least over and over and over again, to do it, because, that's the way we are as human beings. But look, on people's channels on YouTube, there's a little magnifying glass here. This magnifying glass, which you'll only get on desktop, unfortunately they don't give you this on mobile, which is really stupid. But on desktop, you can search here for, like, DJI 04, and it'll dig. It does a really good job digging into that channel only to find not just in the stream titles, but also in, like, the in the comments and in the descriptions and whatnot. Your other way to dig around the channel here is going to be on CiottiFPV.com, which I've not even gone to my own website yet on Brave, which is super funny. But right here, searchable live stream transcripts. This is the other amazing method of finding stuff in the literally thousands of live streams that I've done. So there you go. If you want to go all the way down the rabbit hole, that's how you do it. What happened here? Why did it open a new? That was weird. I don't know what. Why is this here? Oh, I see what happened. I clicked that tab instead. So yeah, but here it is. 65 millimeter motor to motor, 1.2 inch propeller rigs are for flying inside the house. Yes, you can also fly them outside, but they will get the hell beaten out of them by the wind. And so 1.2 inch propeller rigs are for flying inside the house. The end. This is the lightest. When you fly inside the house, you need the lightest possible setup to give you any chance of not just bashing from wall to wall to wall. And you also want it to be analog. Any digital system other than HD0, but whatever. Any of the digital systems, Walksnail, Artisan now, although we haven't tested it yet, but I assume that the latency will be too much on that from what I've seen. DJI O4, whatever. They make the build too heavy, and they introduce too much latency. To fly accurately inside the house and do fun stuff, right? Like, sure, you can fly your 5-inch rig in the house, but you're not going to be able to do power loops. You're not going to be able to, like, avoid the sofa. You're going to just smash into walls and demolish everything. The only way to actually have a good time and fly proper freestyle inside the house is to have a super lightweight rig with really good response time and low latency. I have tried it all. I've done custom builds. I've flown a whole bunch of bind and flies. It's just digital systems introduce too much latency and they add too much weight. And that's it. Like, yes, sure, you can do an 04 65 millimeter build and fly it inside the house. I have done it multiple times on the live stream. Christ, I did it like 2 weeks ago, I think. It's a nightmare and it sucks and it's not fun. And you're flying something around that's like $300+ and you're gonna break it because all you do inside the house is smash into the walls because like everything is so condensed, right? What you need to really understand is that inside the house, the dimensions are exponentially smaller than when you go fly outside. You go fly a 5-inch rig that's this big outside, but then the gap that you shoot is between 2 trees, and that gap is like 8 feet wide. So you've got like 7 feet of leeway between those trees. Even smaller gaps outside, they're gigantic compared to the size of what you're flying. Inside the house, a doorway is only this big. And like, yes, sure, this tiny whoop is a lot smaller than that doorway, but like, as soon as you're okay flying through doorways, now you want to fly through your coffee table, and now the gap is this big. And when the gap is this big, we only have a couple extra widths of the thing that you're flying. So just the long and short of it is that flying inside the house is astronomically more difficult than flying outside because everything is condensed. You got your fucking coffee table and your couch and the walls and the ceiling and the gate that you hung and your TV and like, right? And it's just everything is really small and condensed, and it's super difficult to do it accurately in a way that like resembles freestyle, right? Like when we say freestyle, we're not talking about like typical tiny whoop inside the house flying, which is like take off and like see if you can make it to between the couch and the door without crashing, and then maybe you turn and maybe you make it to the other side of the room without crashing, right? That's not really freestyle. That's like some weird mix of like holding on for dear life and like almost kind of cinewhooping, right? Freestyle is what you see me do. It's throwing the thing inverted off throttle all the way across the room. It's doing wall rides. It's front flips, back flips, power loops, Matty flips, right? Like, it's all that stuff. And to be able to do that, which is incredibly fun, but it is incredibly difficult as well, you have to have gear that is very specifically catered to it. If you're the 7th best pilot on Earth, sure, you might be able to take a 1.6 inch prop DJI O4 2S rig and fly around the house and have a good time. But if you're watching me, you're probably not the 7th best pilot in the world, right? Like, I'm not. I'm lucky if I'm in the top 100. And what I'm telling you is that the gear makes a massive difference. And so for indoor flying, 65 millimeter builds, analog video system, Express LRS, absolutely the most important thing, because low latency, lightweight, but still good power to weight ratio. We can get like 5-6 to 1 power to weight ratio with these, so that when we go to do a Matty flip or a power loop, we just have to blip the throttle just like outside. I've worked super hard over the last 3 or 4 years to get tiny whoops to a point where they fly as similar as possible to a 8, 9, 10 to 1 power to weight ratio, 3-inch build, 5-inch build, 7-inch build, like whatever. And we're there. It's amazing. Over the last like year and a half or so, we've had motors made that have the power to weight ratio that we need to do all that fun stuff. And now you can just tiny whoop and get really, really good and go outside with any other size rig and absolutely slay. You can actually make an argument that since this is so much harder, it's going to make you even better to spend more time tiny whooping inside the house than spending time outside. And so join me on this crazy adventure. The rest of Level 1 Drone's question is 75 millimeter and then with 04 air unit. So if you build a 1.2 inch prop, 65 millimeter motor to motor indoor rig and you put 04 on it, it is a Cinewhoop. That is all that it is. Yes, you will technically be able to do power loops, but you will be so out of control. It will have so much mass and momentum. You will not be able to really fly it hard inside. You're also going to break the 04 light, and they're really expensive, and it's just don't do it. Like, analog is what you want to do for indoor flying. That's where you're going to have your fun. Also, like, you don't need HD inside the house. Nobody cares. Like, you're not going to use that HD footage to deliver to a client. You're not going to sell it to anyone. And your friends or family that might watch the flight footage of you flying inside, they're not going to care if it's in HD. They're going to care if you didn't hit the wall 700 times in a row. They're going to care if you managed to do that fucking backflip through the gate. That's what's cool, not the quality looking good, right? And so analog is king inside the house. Also, you're 10 feet away from yourself, so analog is not going to look that bad. It's going to look half decent. So 04 is for outside. And it's awesome for outside because the range is great. An 04 light on a 75 millimeter motor to motor 1.6 inch prop build outside is incredible. It's so much fun. You have tons of video range. Yes, you've got a little bit more latency, but that doesn't matter outside because things aren't happening as quick. All of the gaps are much bigger and you have way more time to react to stuff. And so an 04 light, and I've done a ton of 04 light 75 millimeter builds, 1S, 2S is definitely the way to go. 1S can work with the GEP RC. I don't have it here, it's in the other case, but GEP RC makes 1002 25,000 kV motors. Those are kind of the only motors that are going to give you a really good 1.6 inch prop digital outdoor flying experience. The cheat code is to go to 2S on BT 3.0. Tiny Whoop sells BT 3.0 300 mAh batteries that are amazing. You pick an AIO that's 1S or 2S, hopefully set up for HD so that there's no OSD chip on board. Wire it up, away you go. Amazing. That is one of the most fun setups that I have ever flown. I have a bunch of them. They're just incredible. You can even go, if you live somewhere that's windy, you can even go up to a 2-inch setup, which I have up here somewhere, for a little bit more power, a little bit more weight. And yeah, away you go. On a 2S 75 millimeter digital build, you're going to want like a 1002 14,000 to 18,000 kV motor. On a 2-inch setup, you're going to want a 1003 or 1103 between 10,000 kV and like 12,000 kV. And then away you go and you'll have a blast. Cool. Great question, Level 1 Drone. I wanted you to come over so I could answer that question because I haven't answered it in like a week or two. And these are some of the most fun rigs that you can build and fly. I've been into FPV for about 10 years now. I think a little over 10 years. The first 6 or 7 years of FPV, I was living in apartments, and I had a good amount of free time on my hands, and so I could go out and fly a lot. I could drive 45 minutes to a spot, spend a couple of hours there, drive 45 minutes home, spend a couple of hours fixing all the shit that I just demolished, and it was okay. 3-ish years ago, after 4 or so years ago, I met Maggie, and then she bought a house. She bought this house 3 or so years ago, and we began living together. This was the first time I'd ever lived with children, and it was the first time since growing up that I'd lived in a house. I'd lived in apartments all my 20s, all my 30s, half my 40s, and the time demands of living with children and living in a house are pretty insane. And so I stopped doing a lot. Like, I still I've been flying gigs, gig work as the other half of what CiottiFPV is, to be able to afford to eat, for the last 4 or so years. So I still do go out and fly, but it's gig work. It's mainly Cinewhoop, sometimes 5-inch. I don't really go out and fly freestyle anymore, but luckily tiny whoops have gotten so good that I do it a ton inside the house and in the front yard. And the tiny whoops that we have now are just so good for that. And I'm starting to do a little bit more of the open prop, really small stuff here, 2-inch, 2.5-inch, which has been super fun. And now I'm even diving back into some kind of 3-inch stuff, which is, you got to have friendly neighbors to fly something this big, which luckily I do, around your neighborhood. And you have to be willing to pay for a broken windshield if you slam this thing into somebody's windshield really hard. If you've been flying for long enough and you have friendly neighbors, you can kind of pull it off. I don't do it too often, but yeah. So I don't necessarily recommend it until you're very seasoned as a pilot, and because something's gonna let go, and in that split second that a motor starts to shit the bed or the ESC starts to blow up, you have to be able to get it hopefully not headed towards someone's face. So yeah. If you feel like you can comfortably do it, then maybe you can, but yeah, I'm not gonna necessarily recommend flying something this big around your neighborhood, unless you can do it in the middle of the day at noon, like I do, when everybody's at work, right? And there's no cars to smash into, there's no people to smash into. But yeah, there you go. ZipFPV says, does OSD menu work on Walksnail? It does indeed. When I do the stick command, all OSD disappears. Left stick, right, which gives me save and exit menu. Yeah, on Walksnail, it acts a little bit weird. So you do the stick command to get in the OSD, and sometimes it won't show up. And then you push to the right, and it'll bring you to that save exit menu. Push back to the left, and it'll bring you back to the normal OSD menu. I don't know why it does that. It's super weird. But yeah, if you can get to the save exit menu, you can then go back a screen, and then you'll have the I forgot about that. Yeah. Uriel says, check mail. Was it so zig? I will check my email at the end of the live stream for sure. Danzilla the Terrible says, thank you for that, Danzilla. Oh, I already answered that. Cool. What is a Matty flip? Jimmy the Cow says, sent an email to you with a custom font pack. Check it sometime. I did scroll across that email. That is super cool. I just haven't had a chance to actually dive into it because this is couch week. We all are couches this week. But I will get there. That looks I love it, dude. Very cool. The only thing I saw is on the brackets on the outside of my logo, there's some white there. I don't know if that'll actually show up, but I will get that pulled down from that email and get it on a bunch of these tiny whoops because that's super rad. Scotty Curtis says, Mr. Ciotti, sir, I got a care package from you yesterday, but I have no idea what for. Should be a giveaway win. If you guys ever get a package from me and you didn't order it from my Etsy store, you won a giveaway. The giveaways are the first Monday of every month. Every once in a while I get them out timely, but typically it takes me a couple of weeks. But yeah, eventually you'll get it. I do that so that it's a surprise. Definitely not because I'm a degenerate. Daytona Jim, thank you again for the $2 super chat. Oh shit, Grep Boy, Iric, Grep Boy Toft with a $10 super chat. Merry Christmas, brother. Thank you so much. I had the pleasure of working with Iric on some stuff for Joshua Bardwell, not 2020, 2024? Was that 2023 that we were doing all that work for Joshua? Might have been 2024. I don't know. But yeah, we got to hang out once a week on a what's it called when you use Skype? It was 2023. Jesus Christ. Video conference call. Andrew Taylor says the week between Christmas and New Year's is known as the Gooch. It's a great name for it. Jesus Christ. The Gooch. Oh, shit. That's good, dude. That's real good. Phil Bradley says, I found a 2S 300 mAh 65mm 2S. No. 65mm 2S, it just kind of doesn't make any sense. Like, it's going to be too heavy and too powerful to fly inside the house unless you want to break everything that you own and just bounce from wall to wall to wall. But then, like, it's going to be so heavy that when you crash inside the house, you're just going to wreck your motors. One of the biggest problems that we have with Tiny Whoops is that the majority of the motors only have a 1mm motor shaft. And even on 1S, super lightweight, this will demolish motor shafts once you start like doing proper freestyle inside the house, right? And so even as light as we can possibly build them, they're still not all that durable. Well, now you double the battery up, right? You take a 1S 300 mAh battery and you do a 2S 300 mAh battery, which is literally twice as heavy. And now all you do is wreck motor shafts and you destroy everything you own because now it's heavy and powerful. And so like 65mm 2S, like it doesn't really have a home inside the house. And then so it's like, well, I'll fly it outside. Okay, well, when it's this small and the props are this little, this is the least efficient propeller size possible. So your runtime sucks outside the house. This is the slowest that you can build it because it has the smallest propellers and the least props, smallest propeller and the least efficiency. And so it's very slow outside. And so it's like kind of a snooze, right? Like I want to fly across the lawn. Okay, I'm finally across the lawn. Like it's a super unbalanced flight. I think it's Mad Caterpillar. I just saw did it. He did a 2S 65mm build, and like watching him fly it, like it almost looks like the build is broken because like it's got a shitload of raw thrust, right? And so it can go up really quickly. But then it comes down at a different rate that it goes up. And then when he goes to like cover ground horizontally, it's just like painfully slow. So it looks super weird and you're like, what am I even watching? Because like 2S will give it loads of thrust. So yeah, sure, you can throw it up in the air and then you can do like, you know, silly stuff in the air and like cool, some people like that stick bang style of flying. I ain't one of them, but if that's what you like, cool. But then, you know, when he crashes it, he's going to wreck motors, right? Because it's just 1mm motor shaft, nightmare. And then it's like, cool, I did all this stuff. Well, now I want to go over there to that tree. And so it really doesn't make a lot of sense. If that's what you want, like if you want to cover horizontal ground very, very slowly, but then have loads of upwards momentum, sure, 2S 65mm, but it's gonna suck. You're gonna get really tired of replacing motors, and it's not gonna fly like anything else, right? And that's something that I try really hard to do. I try to get all of these different builds that I have to fly somewhat similar, so that I don't have to do as much work, right? Like, I want to be as good of a pilot as I possibly can, and a big part of that is building a muscle memory that is not, like, super diverse, right? Like, if every single rig that I have built flies totally different, I'm going to have one muscle memory for each one of those builds. And I did that for many years, and I did not get better as a pilot. Like, I plateaued hard, and I just didn't get any better for years. It wasn't until I realized what was going on, and I started to, like, actively, okay, how can I make this specific rig here fly as close as possible to the 5-inch rig that I've been, spending a lot of time with? It wasn't until I started doing that I actually got better as a pilot. And it's been a big part of the journey. And so I try really hard with everything that I build to get it to, cover ground. And obviously a 65 millimeter tiny whoop is not going to cover ground anywhere near a 5-inch rig. But I don't fly these in a football field. I don't fly these in an empty park. I fly it in a 400 square foot basement. And in a 400 square foot basement, I've been able to build these things in a way that the flight experience somewhat mimics the way a 100+ mile an hour 5-inch rig flies in a big ass open park. And that's what it's about, right? It's about right tool for the job is one way to think about it, but like fly the rig that suits the appropriate space that you're going to be flying in. And if you do that, and if you spend enough time and effort like kind of figuring that out, you can continue to get better as a pilot on all of your builds, not just on the one that you fly the most, right? And that's fun, because then you can fly hard at home, and then you can go to a park and you can rip in a park. You can go to a bando and rip at a bando. You can go to a smaller, tighter bando and you can rip on a 3-inch rig, right? Like it lets you use the right tool for the job and actually improve as a pilot. And the better you are as a pilot, the more fun you have to some extent, like unless you beat yourself to death, which I am certainly guilty of, but like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, as you get better, it's more fun. There's a point where of sort of like diminishing returns, but like, yeah, when you're totally comfortable flying and you start to really be able to like link shit together, you feel like a fucking hero. And like, you are, because this shit's fucking hard. Like, this is unreasonably hard. So like, if you've put the time and effort and like you've used intelligence to actually like figure out how to get better and like build your shit in a way that, right, and like if you've gotten to that point where you're a good pilot, like you should feel like a fucking hero. It's hard. It's unreasonably hard. So yeah. License to Drive says, what's your dead LiPo disposal method? Discharge them down as low as you possibly can and then take them to Best Buy. They have LiPo disposal bins that you can put them in. Jimmy the Cow says, how much on Fiverr for one-on-one for you to teach me how to apply water slides on my tiny whoops? I would not take that job on Fiverr because I'm not good at it. I only teach things that I'm good at, somewhat good at. But it's just to buy my time. It's $40 for a half an hour, $60 for an hour, basically $1 a minute. Frank Nicholas says, design is not mine, found it online. Very cool. Jimmy the Cow says, 3 ORT Micro Vs ordered off of Etsy. Give me that Teddy keychain thing. You got it, friend. Denzel the Terrible says, Teddy Toon is doing the forbidden dance. Nice. 10 points. Phil Bradley says, it's nice to be nice. Keep up the good work. Thank you, dude. Cats, what's up? I haven't seen you since Tiny Whoop Open. I know I'd seen cats floating around the internet, but I'd never met them until Tiny Whoop Open. Cat says, I feel proper Matty. You keep the object in sight the whole time. Lot harder, but looks crispy. Yeah, so like a traditional, the way that most of us learned power loops is cranes. Big boom cranes with that big long crane arm. And one of the ways to learn it, but also one of the ways that it looks really good, is you put that horizontal thing that you're front flipping around up here on the top of the frame. Basically like not quite all the way on the top, but like just a little bit down. And when that is in view, you just pitch forward and you keep that horizontal thing in the frame. You can do that outside when there's a crane arm, 150 feet up. Doing Matty flips inside the house is significantly different. You do not really have the time or the space to kind of do it that way. I've figured out like a way to do them that does look pretty cool, that I'll show you all in a little bit here. It looks like the batteries are charged, so we're good. But yeah, if you're going to do Matty flips outside, try to keep the object in frame, because otherwise you're just doing random front flips, and then like at the very end, like you'll see the thing that's, you know, it's kind of like you pay it off a little bit. But like, yeah, Matty flips outside where you have lots of space, you can keep the object if you're doing them around like a horizontal thing. In the basement here, I do them like through a gate that's hanging and then through a cube on the ground, and so that's a very different look. But yeah, we're gonna dive into that in a little bit. Let me just get caught up on chat. Andrew Taylor says the week. Oh no, we got that. The Gooch week. Whoop Fox says, I agree. The last year of my tiny whooping 6+ a day when I grab my 3 or 5 inch rig is just a walk in the park now. Yeah. The inside tiny whooping inside, the one big adjustment is things happen fast, and that gets you really good really quick. It's frustrating at first. You're going to crash a lot. But if you can adjust, and if you can start making adjustments and just pushing your brain faster, when you start flying outside, you're going to be like, oh shit, I got lots of time. And once that happens, like, you can do crazy shit outside. That's one of the reasons it works so well. Phil Bradley says, what do you think the new Caddx Beta FPV systems will look like for outdoor whoops? The latency is off-putting, but do you think they'll be all right outside, whooping the house, etc.? I think the latency will be too much for flying inside the house. I think outside the house it'll be okay, but you'll just feel a little bit disconnected. It feels a lot like those are meant for war, and those are meant for long-range stuff. So, you know, I don't know how good it'll ever be for our uses, from a freestyle perspective, but you know, it's nice that there's going to be some HD cheap setups, and hopefully they can get the iGow. Hopefully they can get the latency under control. Level 1 drone says appreciate the answer. There's people. Maggie just came home. Iric, thank you again for the $10 super chat. Daytona Jim with a $5 super chat. He says, have you tried the Caillou Mini 2.5 inch? I went to, but impossible to get. Yep, it's impossible. It's just as impossible for me to get it. Come on, camera. There it goes. It's just as impossible for me to get it. If they ever come back in stock, maybe I'll get one. But to be honest, I've been super happy with these baby turtles from Sub 250G FPV over on Instagram. So I'll probably just stick with them. Yeah. But if you can get your hands on a Caillou Mini, it's apparently a great frame. I don't doubt it. Danzil says, come fly with me off-axis in British Columbia in June. No neighbors, just mountains and sweet footage, plus, you know, Canada. 2026 is probably going to be a pretty rough year. So I almost certainly won't be able to make it, but you never know. But yeah, all signs here in the U.S. point to pretty nasty economic collapse in 2026, which is going to be super hard on those of us that are trying to do cool shit, you know? So I don't know. I have a funny feeling I will be back in an office working a desk job at some point this year, but you know, I'm going to try my best to avoid that, because that has not worked well for my mental health in the past, to say the least. Green Thumb says, is the Crazy G473 find or two of them, and is it still sitting at $10? Fund. No, it's just for one. I have to add a little bit in because YouTube and or Google take 30% of super chats. So this number always gets inflated a little bit. Also, like shipping and shit like that, now that we can't really get free shipping anymore. CXB says, how is the 2S baby turtle flying? They're awesome. They're super, super, super fun. I am just kind of starting to do some motor testing on them. The analog one, I've flown a bunch, and it's pretty awesome. There's a bunch of live streams with flight footage of this. The 04 Lite one, I just finished up like last week, and I only have a few batteries through it. But incredibly fun. More coming from this. This currently has Happy model 1103, 11,000 motors on it, which are absolutely awesome. But I do want to try it on RC & Power 1003, 10,000 kV motors. I just have to get 3 more. I only have this one. So yeah, more testing coming with these. Stay tuned. Subscribe, do all that shit. Very, very fun. Very, very, very fun to fly front yard, backyard stuff with, if you have the space. Danzilla the Terrible says, C Gangrene Now 67976797. Gangrene Now says, for your 65 millimeter, do you usually go 30,000 kV and maybe motor limit if needed? What's the sweet spot? Great question. 30,000 kV is an awesome number to have as a sweet spot. But here's the problem. Happy model, We Bleed, Tiny Whoop, 0702s. The KVs are way higher than the amount of power that the motor actually makes. So a VCI or Beta FPV or RC & Power or Newbie Drone 0702 30,000 kV motor is going to make a ton of power, and it'll probably be a little bit too much for most of you, but you can just motor limit it down, which is an awesome idea. Do like a 90%, 85% motor limit. You're sacrificing a tiny bit of efficiency, but you've got a motor that as you get better, you can motor limit up and grow with that motor instead of having to spend $40, $40, $40 every time you get better and you want more power. In the Happy Model motor, Tiny Whoop motor, We Bleed motor world, 32,000 kV is a better sweet spot. Or you can go all the way up to 40 or 36,000 kV. They also work, but most people are going to motor limit them down a little bit. But that's fine. That's arguably a better idea to do that. And like Tiny Whoop batteries are super cheap, so who gives a shit about runtime? Build a setup that flies the way that you want it to, and then spend $15 extra on some more batteries, land it on your lap, pull the battery, slam the new battery in, plug it back in, and you're back up. Like the runtime thing doesn't make any sense to focus on runtime with Tiny Whoops, in my opinion. Thank you for calling that out, Danzilla. Colton says, I plugged my receiver to my flight controller through the PNP port. What's the PNP port? Ran it into Betaflight. The G and V were reversed in the plug-in play port. I unplugged it around 20 seconds later. Is it okay? I have no idea, brother. Does it still work? If it still works, you're fine. If smoke poured out of it or it caught on fire, you're less than fine. If you plug it in and it works, you're fine. Like there's no like in between. Like it's not, if you send voltage into electronics backwards and there's a chip basically in there to protect against that, then you fix it, you plug it in correctly, and it'll work. If there was no, I forget the name of the thing, but if there was none, then it blew up, and when you plug it in properly, it won't work anymore. Ginger says, finally flying in the house with the Hummingbird. How do you take outdoor freestyle and bring it inside? Tips and tricks. Tips for tricks in the house. That is one of the big things we're going to do tonight. I just need to get caught up on the chat here. What I'm going to teach you for the Matty flip goes for everything. There are a couple core concepts for flying freestyle in the house that really, really, really apply to the Matty flip. Mainly, you need to live in a world of extremes. You need to fly really low to the ground, and then you need to flip or throw it really high and just barely scrape the ceiling. Since you've only got 8 feet, you got to use 7 feet, 11 and a half inches of the space that you have available to you inside the house if you want to do big off throttle stuff. That's the biggest thing, but there's some other stuff that we'll talk about. Build lightweight, low latency, that stuff. Euro says, we're heroes by Bowie. Colton says, I'm talking about 5-inch in my previous question. My answer still stands. Kat says, hey. YouTube just did the thing again. Give Me the Cow says, I changed the OSD font pack and removed the white corner jib jabs. Nice. Send a new email. Take your time and enjoy. Thank you, dude. For the record, I am going to bug you to do one of the other fonts. I forget which font that I like the best. I used to love that font that you used. Was it Impact, I think? I used to like Impact, but then I moved to one of the other fonts because it's a little bit more readable. But I'll get back to you for sure. I just got to get out of the gooch week here. I got to get out of the gooch. I'm stuck in the gooch, yo. Kat says, friends don't let friends say desktop. Yeah, families change that. But like I said, you never know. You never know. I'm going to try my best this year, as I do every year. You know, this FPV journey has been absolutely ridiculous. It's pretty insane that I've been able to do this for 4 years. So, like, lucky me. You know, if this all ended tomorrow, I'm a super, super, super fortunate person for being able to do what I love for the last 4 years as a job. And so, yeah, I'm very appreciative that all of you have been supporting me throughout this. And I'm not going to be a spoiled little bitch and be, you know, like, I do my absolute best and just kind of like leave it all on the table. And then what happens, happens. Let me show you guys real quick. What time is it? 11:12. We got time. Let me show you how to check the health of your drone. The one thing that kills flight performance more than anything else is motors that are banged up, motor shafts that are bent, motor bells that are out of whack. And there is a very quick, easy way to check that not a lot of people know about. And let me show this to you. You can do this with turtle mode, but it's even better to do this in beta flight. And like the first time you do this, do it in beta flight. It'll make more sense to you. Step one is to take the propellers off. On a tiny whoop, you can leave the propellers on. Let me say this, on a 1S tiny whoop, you can leave the propellers on. It's not going to kill you. Anything more than 1S, it can seriously hurt you. So don't do it. But on a 1S tiny whoop, you can leave the propellers on, and it kind of helps. You can spin the motors up with the propellers on and then take the propellers off, and that'll tell you if your motors are banged up or if your propellers are banged up. If you think your propellers are banged up, just throw them away and throw a new set on. It's one of the best things you can do for the way these things perform. But here's how you check the health of your rig. I mean, more specifically, here's how you check the health of your motors. But, like, again, banged up motors are the one thing that fucks everything up more than anything else on these quads. So checking your motors is going to cover, like, 80% of your problems. You're going to plug into Betaflight. You're going to grab a battery. Hang on. Battery doesn't have to be charged. It at least has to be at storage voltage, though. All right. So you're going to hook up to Betaflight. You're going to connect. And you're going to come into the motors tab. Eventually. Betaflight, come on now. There we go. Come into the motors tab. And you're going to plug your battery in to the quad. Your props are off, so you're safe. You're going to hold the quad in your hand. Just like balance the battery. You need to do this because you need to feel the vibrations from the thing. You're going to click, I understand the risks. And eventually, Jesus, Betaflight, what are you doing? And now you're going to take each one of these sliders and slowly move it up to around 1300. Right around 1300 is where the majority of the vibrations are going to happen. My computer is absolutely shitting its pants right now, and so it's super weird, but come on, man. Jesus Christ. So you're going to slowly... All right, I can't do anything, apparently. But just pretend like I'm moving this slider. Wow. Pretend I'm moving that. Let's try one more time. Okay. YouTube was in the process of crashing. Well, so YouTube is so bad that it's able to even crash on Brave. It's not just a Chrome thing. YouTube is the absolute worst platform to live stream on. It is embarrassingly bad, and it somehow drags so hard on the computer before it crashes like that. Yeah, well, you guys just saw it. All right, so now that it has crashed and I have restarted it, we'll be fine here. So I understand the risks. We're gonna move this up, and right in between. Right around 1300, 30%-ish throttle, you're going to feel with your fingers how bad the vibrations are. In this case, I'm checking motor number 1, and it's not really all that bad. You can try it up here. You're not going to feel anything up top. All the vibrations happen around 30% throttle, which is around cruising throttle. Go figure. And then you just do each motor. You're also going to listen. You're going to listen for how nasty the motors sound. These are pretty bad, for the record. But what you're really feeling for is vibrations. This one is the worst. You can probably even hear it. And then the last one, motor 4 is totally fine. So, like, here's one of the not so bad ones. Here's the bad one. Jesus Christ. Come on, dude. God damn. And that's it. Now we know that motor number 3 is the most beat up. If this rig is flying like total shit, replace that motor. Because the motor shaft is bent. You were able to feel the vibrations in your fingers. That's the main thing that you're feeling for. And you'll see, you'll get to like a specific amount moving that slider up and down where the vibrations are really bad. And all you're trying to do is like get a baseline, right? You've got 4 motors that have all taken different amounts of abuse, right? You can't really, well, I guess you could crash and hit 2 of these at a time. But, you know, a lot of times you crash and you just hit 1. So you're going to have one motor that is really clean. You're going to have one motor that's really bad. And that's what you're looking for. If you built the rig and it was beautiful, and then you crashed it a bunch and now it's flying like shit, you've got 1 or 2 motors that are super banged up. Swap them out, and now you've got less vibrations, less for the PID loop to freak out about, less for the filters to have to deal with, and it's going to start flying better. You're going to get more power and more runtime. That's all you got to do. You can also do that in turtle mode. Flip into turtle mode, take your props off, really gently move that right stick diagonally to fire each motor up while you're holding it, and you'll feel which motor has the most vibration and decide, do I want to change that out or do I want to keep pounding on it until it's so bad that I can't stand it, and then I do it again and change that motor out. That's how you do it, friends. This thing is back up and running now. This motor is not that bad, so this is ready to go. This motor number 4, where the wires were breaking off, that's where all the problems were coming from. So I'm going to throw props back on that and beat the hell out of it some more to see where my frame breaks. I am going to break this frame to see if Ryan and I can, Ryan can beef it up in a certain spot that'll make it a little bit more durable. Seems crazy durable already, though. During the 12-hour stream, I played all the flight footage where I was banging into all the Jungle Gym metal. Daytona Jim with a $2 super chat. He says, give him thumbs up, mofos. Thank you, brother. I always forget to tell you guys to do the YouTube things. All right. So, wait a second. Hold on. Where are the timestamps? There they are. There are the timestamps. 11:19. All right, we're good. Matty flipping inside the house is hard. It's very hard. It's hard to do it outside. So doing it inside is asking an awful lot. But you can do it. And when you get one, you feel like a goddamn hero. I cannot get them with power loops. I'm pretty dialed. Like if I line a power loop up properly and I'm not all hopped up on goofballs, I will hit the power loop. Not 100% of the time, but close. Matty flips, it's not that dialed in. And I don't know if it ever will be, because the end of the move, the most dangerous part of the move, is where you are hammering the throttle based on timing and nothing else, because you're looking straight up at the sky. And you can only get a certain amount of good at like telling how far away the ceiling is. At its core, a Matty flip is just a front flip. That's it. But inside the house, the way that we're going to have to do these is we're going to have to come in really low. We're going to have to blip the throttle really aggressively. So on the throttle, off the throttle as quick as you can. Start the pitch forward. You're going to throw it all the way up to the ceiling, as high as you possibly can. You're going to wait. When the camera is looking straight up at the ceiling, that's when you're going to hit the throttle again, because the quad is now in this orientation. You've got forward momentum. Now you've got downwards momentum. When the camera is looking straight up, your thrust is going at a 45-degree angle forward and down. So the forward thrust is going to get it to stop traveling this way and send it back this way. The downward thrust is going to get it to not hit the ground. And so that is the core of what we're doing. Super low to give yourself as much time as possible. As quick of a throttle blip as you possibly can, because you're pitching forward. Let it rotate with the pitch forward as long as you possibly can. If there's a gate here, you're going to go through the gate, hopefully backwards. That looks cool as fuck. You'll see it in a minute. Wait. Camera straight up. Outside, it's going to be full sky. Your whole view is going to be just blue of the sky. Inside the house, your whole view, in my case, is going to be ceiling tile. Hammer the throttle, and then you're going to kind of use like maintenance throttle to pull it back through here. Speaking of, let me put the stick overlay on screen. I saw somebody use the stick overlay the other day, and it didn't look, it wasn't nearly as laggy as it used to be. I never used to use the stick overlay because it was ridiculously laggy and just kind of worthless. But I think maybe they've cleaned it up a little bit. So in the OSD here, I don't even know what it's called. Is it called stick overlay? It's called stick overlay. Stick overlay left, stick overlay right. Oh, wait, hold on. All right, so stick overlay left. I'm going to move that. Put it right here. Okay? Oh, God. I'm not going to put it there. Okay, so we'll put stick overlay left there. And then stick overlay right. We're going to move that up here. Nope. To the left a little bit. Up a little bit. Okay. Try to get this a little bit more even here. Nope, that's not even. All right. That looks somewhat even. We're going to give that a shot. Don't get too obsessed with the stick overlay, though. Look at, like, what just... I was about to say you got to feel it out, but you're not going to be able to feel it out because you're on the other side of the internet and or world. Don't just stare at the stick overlay. All you're going to see me do is blip the throttle, pitch forward, and blip the throttle. It's about what you're looking at. It's about like what's actually on the screen. Looking straight up at the sky, hammer the throttle. You can also kind of listen. You'll be able to hear the motors wind up. Look at it. Oh, yo! Oh my God, they totally fixed the stick over. Oh, I accidentally went into the menu. They totally fixed this, dude. This used to be so delayed. Oh my God, that's insane. Okay. This is a Hummingbird V4 with a Bri-Brain mount. I sell these mounts on my Etsy store. Changing the Hummingbird V4 camera mount is the best thing that you can possibly do for it. Oh my God, dude, there's no latency in the stick overlay now. That's insanity. Man, we don't deserve Betaflight. All right, So I'm going to do most of it here. Low to the ground. As I said, it is difficult. Low to the ground. And back through. And I kind of chickened out on that. I wanted to go a little bit farther. But... And so I'm just going to do this a bunch of times so that you can see it. And I'm probably not going to hit a lot of these. Because this shit's hard. But... I was a little bit too low on that one. A little bit too low again. OSD went away because newbie doing things. It'll be back in a second, I'm sure. I'm trying to flip the switches on the left side of the transmitter to get the OSD to come back. What is this bullshit? There we go. Come on back, OSD. Let me get out of this fucking cube. So that's a full Matty flip there. A little ugly on the exit, but... just the reverse of a power loop. So... I wonder where the OSD went. I'm hitting switches again to try to get the OSD to turn back on. Low, low, low. Big throttle blip. And see, now there, I waited too long to blip the throttle on the other side. So, throw it. Wait, wait, wait. Full sky, full throttle. Yeah, full ceiling or full sky, full throttle. There you go. Wait, 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 wait. Full sky, full throttle. And it's a big throttle blast. Both here and here. You got to really hammer the throttle. And so now, some of the nuance is going to be how much momentum you carry into this. If I'm like balling around the room, I got to really hammer the throttle to kill that forward momentum. If I'm going super fast, fucking A. If I'm going super fast, that throttle blip, that full sky, full throttle, is going to have to be big. Whereas if I go into it slow, I don't have all that forwards momentum to kill off. Cool? Ah. Not consistent at doing it. But that's okay. That just makes when you actually hit them that much more amazing. Alright, start asking... it's that easy, huh? That's all. Ask any questions that you possibly can, because when I teach this in a one-on-one session, I get, you know, I have like the voice part, and I can ask questions and get feedback. Teaching this through a live stream is way more difficult. I also like kind of can't see your guys' sticks when you're trying it, so try to ask any questions that you possibly can. Looks like our OSD is back, so now you can see the stick overlay. I do these things as like laid out as I possibly can. So I do really just a little bit of pitch. Just like the least pitch forward that I possibly can, because it just looks better. You can do them faster. I mean, you can really whip these things around if you want. You can do like, right? You can really do them quick. I don't like the way that looks. It's like super frantic. I just flew face first into the chair, like it was gonna move. I really like the way that these look super kind of laid out. Come on, god damn it. And that was me getting on the throttle a little bit too late. Alright, so one of the biggest things to fixing, you're going to start doing these and you're going to make this mistake over and over again. Here's the mistake you're going to make over and over again. Sorry. You're going to get on the throttle too late, and you're not going to come back through the object. I'm sorry. You're going to get on the throttle too... Wait, is it early or late? I'm so used to doing them that... Yeah, it's too late. You're going to get on the throttle too late, and then you're just going to do a front flip through a gate. Like that. That's going to happen to you a lot. You're waiting too long. Oh, boy. That ain't coming out of there. You're waiting too long to get back on the throttle. If you don't generate enough rearward momentum, it's because you waited too long and the quad over-rotated. The more you pitch forward, the less you're going to send yourself rearwards. And so that's going to be your biggest mistake. And it's fine. You're going to make that mistake 1,000 times. That's totally okay. Just understand it. Like, when that happens, be like, okay, cool. I waited too long to get on the throttle. Or you didn't give it enough throttle. You didn't do a big enough throttle blip. You came in too fast, and it stalled out, and it didn't go backwards. You did not give it enough throttle, a big enough throttle hit. So you're going to wait now. And that's going to give you enough to go back and through. And so if you don't have a cube on the ground, it's going to be a lot easier. Because you can just kind of fly up to this. And now it's just basically flying backwards. At this point, or if there's just a horizontal thing, all you're doing is flying backwards. And flying backwards just means you look up. You just look up at the air. That's all. And then you try to navigate from the left and right sides of the screen, right? So you just look up. And then you fly from the left and the right. And I hate to break it to you, but this is all a trippy spin is. This is way more fun and way cooler looking than doing a trippy spin, in my opinion. And all I'm doing is looking up. But I am sort of like navigating from the left and right of the screen. Right? Because the top of the screen don't tell you shit. The left and right of the screen tell you kind of sort of what's coming. But Matty flip is one of the best ways to learn to fly backwards because... Do it over here. You fucking bastard. Come on now. Do it over here. Because all you're doing is flying backwards, flying backwards, flying backwards. That's just it. You're just going through something, pitching forward, and then looking straight up and flying yourself backwards. That's all you're actually doing. When you're beginning to learn Matty flips, don't do hanging gate, cube gate. It's too difficult. Just do the hanging gate. Or just do them in open air. You can practice these in open air. Let me show you that. Oh, upstairs. Here we go. Yeah, let me go upstairs. That'll be perfect. We got like a 15-foot ceiling up there. And I'll show you how to practice them in open air. All right? So all you're going to really focus on is generating that rearward momentum in open air. That's kind of the hardest part, and you're learning when to smash the throttle. And so doing these in open air, you're just going to pitch forward and wait now. That's it. Just get used to that. Wait now. When I'm looking up, when I'm looking all the way up like that, now is the time, because that's what gives you that rearward momentum. And I guess you could even just do this. This would probably be good. Just little like yo-yos. Throttle, 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 0, throttle, 0, throttle, 0, throttle. I sure wish that the Newbie Drone OSD would work. And then when you want to go a little bit farther with it, you're going to go up, over, pitch, throttle. And see, that's fine. I didn't generate enough rearward momentum, but that's okay. We learned. So now we want to do a bigger throttle blip. Bigger. And that generated a bunch of rearward. Cool? And so, there he is. How can I help you, little dog? What would you like from me? Can I power loop you, buddy? Can you stand there and not move? You're going to move. Yep. I haven't power looped her desk yet because I don't want to hit Maggie in the face. That's how you do them open air. Cool. Man, the OSD is really out to lunch on this Hummingbird. Blip, pitch, blip. If you hit the throttle too early, you're going to drive yourself into the ground. And it's going to happen quick. So if you just absolutely pummel yourself into the ground in the middle of this move, you got to wait longer. I'm so used to doing them properly that it's hard for me to hit the throttle earlier or later. But you'll know it. If you hit the throttle too early, you'll know it, because you'll just get rocketed into the ground. It looks totally different than hitting the throttle too late. This is too late. Too late, you're going to stall out like that, but you're not going to hit the ground. When you hit the throttle too late, you either don't hit the ground or you go rocketing back up into the ceiling. Blip, pitch, all sky, hammer the throttle. Come on, you bastard. What the fuck, dude? Come on. It's hard not having OSD. Matter of fact, I also don't know where the battery is at. Oh, that was a good mirror flip. Wish I could have landed it, but... Yikes. See? Too late on the throttle on that one. It's way safer to be too late on the throttle than too early. Oh, fuck. See, that's the problem with the goddamn OSD not working. This poor battery just got absolutely annihilated from that. I'm going to put this battery back on the charger to bring it back up to some amount of voltage, but this battery is permanently damaged now. That sucks. And I can't get it unplugged. God damn it, come on. There we go. Alright, let me get this right back on the charger. Maybe it won't be that bad, but I am going to put a red X. Oh no, it's bad. It's like 2.8 volts. I'm going to put a red X on this battery to let future me know that it is hurt. Alright, red X there, and red X there. Alright. Questions. What questions you guys got? Ask me some questions, damn you. Actually, before I read through questions, I want to just show you what's happening. And you should do this. When you're trying to learn this, you should do this. Hold this in your hands and figure out what the hell's going on. We're cruising. Big throttle blip. Wait. When I wait too long, wait. Now I get on the throttle, and that's why we keep moving forward. We didn't get on the throttle until we were like here, and most of the thrust is going down. Very little thrust is going forwards. So this is only going to send enough thrust forward to stop you in place, and then you're going to have that awkward like, oh, shit. And then you're going to fly away. Versus, if you get on the throttle too early, cruise, blip, off the throttle, pitch. I can't possibly keep waiting. I'm too nervous. I hit the throttle, and it just drives me into the ground. It's in between. You got to wait until you're pretty much like right around here to here, like right around there. Because when you first stab the throttle, it's going to kill that forward momentum and get you moving back. And then as you come off the throttle, it's going to keep you from hitting the ground. The other thing that'll sometimes happen is you'll throw it, and then you'll just hammer the throttle here, and it'll send you back upwards. You want to stab the throttle here. It's full throttle and then off to maintenance, because you need to catch that forward momentum, send yourself backwards, and then that maintenance throttle is going to have you rock down nice and low. And if you're trying to do it like I'm doing it through the hanging gate and the cube gate, that's super important, because you got to come down low, right? Again, we're using the extremes. We're coming in low. We're throwing it all the way up to the ceiling. We're waiting as long as we possibly can, hammering the throttle, and then coming back out low. This way, it's not like super rushed, right? Like when we do these outside, it can be a 5-second Matty flip, because we can throw it 500 feet into the air, right? And just wait. I'm safe. Inside, like, these are happening quick, man. This is like a 1-second move, if that. So by coming in low and throwing it up to the ceiling, you're giving yourself the maximum amount of time. So it's not like, so you're not like blip, 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 blip. That's too much. You got to space this shit out. That's how you do this inside the house in a way that you can then do it outside. You got to use those extremes. Super low to the ground. Get your Throttle Expo dialed in. Search my channel for Throttle Expo. I've got a 45-minute and an hour-long explanation of how to dial it in. That's super important to be able to flying low to the ground. And yeah, that's one of the best things that you can do. All right, there are some questions here. Ginger misses the bunny suit. You just got to wait a year. You get to see it again. Sporny says, random question. I often having problems getting my XT30 batteries unplugged for my drones. Is there anything I can do? Yeah, you can. The XT30s have two sets of like the pin side. It's like separated, and they're a little bit too far apart. You can squeeze them. That's about it. You could put a little bit of shrimp wrap around the connector to give yourself a little bit more of a grip. I have the same problem sometimes too. I would rather them be hard to unplug and never come unplugged when I don't want them to, though, than the opposite. Gangrene Yao says, that's all, huh? Easy. That's all I had to do the whole time. Now I'm a pro. There you go. I have a question. How do you Matty flip indoors? There you go. Level 1 Drone says, okay, I hear blip, pause, blip. It sounds like timing based on what you're Matty flipping. Sorta, but not really. Because if you Matty flip something bigger, timing goes out the window because it's going to be a longer amount of time. And if you're Matty flipping something smaller, it's going to be shortened up. So most people learn Matty flips based on timing. And that'll work if you're doing it around the same gap over and over and over again. But then you're not really learning how to fly the Matty flip. You're just learning up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, select, start. Right? And so try not to learn it with timing. The timing is gonna get drilled into your head anyway. Don't let that be the main thing that you're focused on. Focus on getting that first throttle blip correct so that you go from as low as possible to as high as possible. And then just being patient and waiting until you can see all sky. And that's when you hammer the throttle. And now that's tough because like you have to hammer the throttle just enough, but not too much there. So there's tons of nuance in there. But the two big moments are low to the ground, throw it as high as you possibly can, and then be as patient as you possibly can, and then wait until you're looking straight up, and then plow the throttle again. You gotta hammer the throttle when you're looking straight up to get it moving backwards, and then the rest of it'll just kind of happen. Those are the two big moments. Maximizing floor to ceiling, and then waiting, and just being super patient until you're looking straight up in the air. And like, if you get that a little bit wrong, like if you're looking up, if you're looking straight up, but there's a little bit of the door frame in the bottom, it won't be right. Or if you didn't wait quite long enough and you can still kind of see the wall behind you, now you're going to be in this scenario and you're actually going to be thrusting into the ground. So there's a bunch of nuance there to that timing, and it is timing of letting your pitch forward, chill, then you hit it. And so it's going to be hard to learn that. I'm super oversimplifying it, and I'm pretty good at them, so it looks somewhat easy. But that is going to be hard. But those are the two big things that you should focus on. Looking straight up in the air and then trying to get that, try to maximize the vertical space that you're using. And again, that's one of the biggest things for flying freestyle indoors is maximizing that vertical space. You're also going to maximize the horizontal space. You're going to go from like, you're going to be scraping the wall and then you're going to scrape the couch. Like, you got to be comfortable getting close to shit. If you're trying to go right down the lane all the time, it's just not going to happen. Like, everything is too tight inside. You got to get used to like letting the turn slide all the way out and just leave it and don't make that correction. Just let it rock and see what happens. And then maybe you'll make it, maybe you won't. That's when you learn. That's when you learn. That's when you learn like basically the momentum that the rig carries. This is one of the hardest things to kind of figure out in FPV is like how much mass is this thing going to carry. When there's a gap and I'm not perfectly faced at this gap and I need to make a turn, do I need to turn too far because I know this thing is going to carry a bunch of momentum? Or can I just turn a little bit and I have enough time where it'll dig, and then go through the gap? And so try to avoid making too many corrections. Just crash. It's fine. It's over there. You just go get it, or you turtle it back over and you're fine. When I teach people through Fiverr, what I say constantly in the video call is leave it. Leave the sticks alone. You've moved the sticks here, leave them and see what happens. You can use the throttle a little bit, but leave your pitch and your roll and your yaw where they're at for as long as you possibly can. And then when you absolutely have to, then you move them and now try to leave them again. This is why my flying looks like my flying, is because I try to like put the sticks in a place and leave them until the bitter end. I'm going to move the throttle for sure, but then I'm going to move them to another spot and I'm going to try to keep them there and I'm going to keep moving the throttle. When you roll, it moves the whole rig. It fires these two motors, it breaks these two motors, and it really effectively moves the whole rig. When you pitch, it does the same thing. When you yaw, it fires two, breaks two, and it uses the centrifugal force to rotate it. But it's pretty obvious when you make any movement on the yaw or the pitch or the roll. When you move the throttle, it fires all four motors and it has to move the entire weight of the quad. So you can hammer the throttle up and down and barely see a change because it has to accelerate the entire weight of the quad. When you pitch and roll, all it has to do is rotate the weight. It doesn't have to move the weight per se. It just has to take this side and make it go upwards and take this side, break it down to go downwards. So it only has to move a little bit of weight when you pitch, roll, and yaw. But when you move the throttle around, it's got to move the whole weight of the entire quad. And so you can be very active on the throttle while you keep the pitch, roll, and yaw in the same spot. And by doing that, you can continue to fly. If you've got the sticks in a spot where the quad is like this, if you add throttle, it's going to corner more. If you kill throttle, it's going to go straight. And so fly with the throttle as much as possible. Just in general, like that's going to give you more of a smooth feel, and it's going to prevent you from making all of these like jukes and jives that look like you're an inexperienced pilot. This is how you smooth out your flying. You connect everything rather than and you use the throttle as much as you possibly can. Cool? Keep the throttle moving. By keeping the throttle moving too, your fingers will get quicker so that you can do a really fast throttle blip. You also have to practice this. You have to practice blipping full throttle and then chopping the throttle as quickly as you possibly can. You got to be able to do this quick. There's people that I'll work with and I'll see in their stick overlay, I'll say blip the throttle, and it's like that. That ain't quick enough. Like, you got to get this quick. Also, though, you got to get this clean. You can't do a throttle blip like that. This is going to push a bunch of yaw in, and it's going to fuck everything up because you're going to blast the throttle and rotate it, and then it's going to go in some weird direction. So you got to learn to quick blip the throttle cleanly. You can do a couple of things on your transmitter to help with that. You can tighten up the yaw springs a little bit. But the big thing you want to do is loosen the throttle throw. The throttle, if you put it up and then you smack your radio, it should fall down. That's how smooth you want that throttle to be. You want a little bit of resistance so that when you put it up, it stays up. But then if you shake the transmitter around a little bit, it should drop down. That's kind of the right amount of resistance there. That also lets you be more precise on the throttle. The less resistance, you can go from 12% to 13% to 14%, maybe to 14.5%. That's important. So make sure your throttle stick is nice and loose. You don't want no resistance because then you can't tell where it is and you can't tell if you've moved it or not. So you want a little bit of resistance here so you can actually feel yourself moving it, but you don't want enough that you obviously don't want those notches on there. For the love of God, if you have the notches on your throttle, get that shit off of there first. That's a disaster. Jimmy the Cow says, can you teddy flip? I've done it twice, but he typically doesn't let me. He always moves when I get near him. Gaines says, 98% of the time I'm too late or too early. And 2% of the time it's perfect and then doesn't go back. Outdoors, no issues. Props to you. It's hard, dude. It's just hard. You just got to keep doing it. When you get it, it's so worth it, though. I promise you it is so worth it. Do 1,000 of them. And like each one that you get, you'll be like, oh my God. And it will happen more. Like you will get better at it for sure. But again, it is really difficult. Level 1 Drone says, is it throttle and pitch at the same time to throw it forward while you flip? Sometimes, normally, yes. Normally, you pitch it forward to get it moving, and then you go full throttle and, well, yeah, it depends. If you're going really slowly and you don't have any forward angle, then you might need to pitch it forward and throttle it at the same time. If you're going really fast, you've already got enough angle. And so just doing a throttle blip will shoot it forward and up at the same time. So it really depends. But if you're coming in slow, like you probably will be when you're practicing these things, you might need to start pitching forward and then throttle. If you've got a target in mind and you come up shallow on the target, you need to pitch it forward earlier or more. If you go screaming across the room, then you don't need to pitch forward as much. You just need to adjust that. When you crash, take a split second and be like, what happened? Don't just blame everything. Don't say I'm such a piece of shit like I always do. Take a second and be like, what just happened? Was I too shallow? Okay, how do I fix that? All right, well, I was going really slowly, so let me go a little bit faster. If I go a little bit faster, more of the thrust is going to spill rearwards when I blast the throttle, and that's going to send me farther forward. Then you go too far forward. Hold on, what just happened? Okay, I was going too fast, so I need to back off a little bit and then start pitching forward. Back in the old days of Betaflight, when you would chop the throttle, the rig would wobble a lot back before anti-gravity. And so one of the things that us OG fuckers learned to do is whenever we chop the throttle, we do either pitch or roll to cover up the bobble that happens. And so without even thinking about it, when I do that full throttle blip, I'm doing a little stab of pitch. And what's cool about that for me is that I'm going through these hanging gates. And so what that does is full throttle, chop the throttle. It gets a chunk of this rotation out of the way so that I go through the gates upside down and backwards. And so you get this really cool effect where the camera looks rearwards and you're like, wait, what happened? And then the gates come forward and you're like, oh, that's fucking cool. That's why the Matty flips that I do look the way that they do. Because when I chop that throttle, I blip a little bit of pitch forward. You don't have to do that. You can just have a steady amount of pitch and it'll go through. It's a look. If you want the look of being inverted for as long as possible, you're going to do a little pitch stab when you chop the throttle. now that I've said that, here's what that looks like. All right, this battery is up. I'm going to charge this battery all the way back up, I guess. I forgot to mention that. Thank you for asking that, because I that's one of the things that I just sort of do without really thinking about it, and it's an important part of this. If you want that look, you don't have to do that. You don't have to have that that little stab of pitch, but you certainly can. Jimmy the Cow says, "Can fly in the living room better than I can walk in the living room." Transmitter not on? Transmitter's not on. Come on. Ah! Transmitter's in the warnings. Now it's got to go around the horn for ELRS to connect. There we go. And little stab of pitch. Oh boy. Little stab of pitch. And it happens just after the throttle stab. So it's like throttle pitch. And that's where you get that cool little moment of hang time. Woo! I was really slow on the pitch there to try to get it looking ultra cool. And you can see I'm not doing it from the floor, and that's why it's fucking up. If I do it from the floor, I'll have more time. And now I can do it properly. You can do them from up here. It just doesn't look... That looks like shit. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't look anywhere near as cool as that. And also, it's literally easier. It is actually easier to do it from down on the floor because you have more time. It's a little bit harder because you have a bigger distance. You bastard. You have a bigger distance to cover to get through this hanging gate, but you guys probably aren't going to do this with a hanging gate. And that's okay. I mean, that was a little bit slow on the way back. But that's okay. I like to kind of like let it chill. Like after you like, so pitch forward, stop pitching forward. There's a point where you kind of like stop pitching forward. That's again more of like a style thing though. Oh, you bastard. And you can do them bigger like that. That's kind of a cool look too. To get a head of steam. But boy, is it hard to get it to cook off all that forward momentum, right? Like, if you do it big like this, you gotta really hammer the throttle to try to kill that. And so, that is like, way higher level of difficulty. So try not to be screaming forward when you're learning these. It's just gonna make it way harder. And as you can see, I still crash on it a lot. It is super difficult, but it's worth it. It's worth it to learn it. I promise. And it'll teach you how to fly backwards. You can literally rock this. What the fuck is going on? You can rock this right into backwards flying. Great. God damn it. Hang on. I'm going to kill another one of these batteries because the OSD is seemingly just gone. Okay. I can't do any of these right now, so... But, you know what I'm saying. You're flying backwards... I think this battery's done, maybe. You're flying backwards at the end of that, and so there's no reason not to keep going backwards. Man, I cannot... I'm having such a hard time unplugging these NX69s lately. Yeah. You're learning to fly backwards, friends. And that shit's hard because you can't see where you're going. And not being able to see where you're going is difficult. Another couple of questions, and then we're going to shut this mother down. It is after midnight, and I am hungry as always. It's the witching hour. Ginger says, what camera angle do you use? This is 15. This is 15 degrees here. If you're running extreme camera angle, this move is going to be different. The whole look straight up thing is mainly for like between 15 and 25 degrees of up tilt, because that's what most people fly. If you've got some like insane amount of up tilt, you're going to hit the throttle. So like, let's say you have like 70 degrees of up tilt. You're going to throw it. You're going to come back around. And you're going to be hitting the throttle when you're looking backwards at the wall behind you. If you're flying that much up tilt, you're probably not flying freestyle anyway. You're racing. So, yeah. But the more up tilt, the more behind you you're going to need to look is the way that it works. Hopefully that makes sense. CiottiFPV with the last comment of the live. Nope. Daytona Jim with a $2 super chat. He says, your flying backwards looked effing awesome. It's cool, right? You can do it. Just do it. Kat says, are you going to Whooptopia? Probably not, but you never know. I would love to, but probably not. This year's is probably going to be rough, but we'll see. Level 1 Drone says, awesome. Can you show a Matty flip of the gate on the ground, or is that too low? It's not too low, but it doesn't look very impressive. It's just, you know, I did a couple of them just through the top gates. It looks just like that. And with the cube on the ground, like you end up hitting the ground a lot. So it ends up just being kind of timing. And you just like, and that's sort of it. I'm not going to show that because it's late and I just put everything down, but yeah, it's just quicker. Everything has to happen faster. Literally. The blip happens quicker. You have to pitch forward faster, and then you have to hit that second blip quicker. And so you just speed everything up. As the Matty flip shrinks, everything speeds up. As the Matty flip gets bigger, all the timing slows down. Great question. Prowan14 says, quick question. I have some 1202.5 6400 kV motors used on a 3-inch toothpick. Can I use those on a 2-inch 2S Baby Turtle Micro Apex build? What props did you use for the Baby Turtle? I have the 2-inch Baby Turtles, so I'm using the Gemfan 2023S propellers. They're kind of like the ones. And then 6400 kV is going to be too low. You would need to go 3S to get enough RPM out of those motors on a 2-inch propeller. So yeah, unfortunately 6400 kV is only really going to work with the bigger 3-inch props. Going down to a smaller propeller, you lose lots of thrust, and you need more kV, more RPM to offset that. Good question. CiottiFPV with the last comment of the live stream, it says, thanks for explaining what feed forward does. I turned mine up to about 1.6 and it feels great for racing, almost like the quad starts turning before I even think. Yeah. Feed forward is stick response. The higher you make that number, the quicker the stick response. The lower you make your feed forward, the smoother, the more buttery the flight footage is going to look like. So low feed forward for cinematic, high feed forward for racing, freestyle somewhere in between. Thanks for hanging, friends. CiottiFPV.com to support me if you like these and want to see them continue into all of 2026, maybe. Cool? Be good, friends. Here's some more farting around somewhere. God only knows where I'm flying here. Oh, here's across the street with the... Here's the 2-inch builds. 2-inch 04 light. This is basically the maiden of the Baby Turtle 2-inch 04 build. Out front. Come on. There we go. I will see you guys on Wednesday. We are going to test again. We did this on the 12-hour stream, but I told Beta FPV I would do this on a regular stream. We are going to test the Lava V2 batteries versus NX69 from Newbie Drone. Love you, bye! See you guys Wednesday.
Yeah. Out in the yard where the grass grows wild, CiottiFPV's goggles locked, grinning like a child. Teddy spaghetti's, fur flies, and jet wash dreams. Yeah. Chasing small whoops like a dog possessed fiend. Eyes on a neon blur, hard in the chase. Big fuzz and prop spin, all tangled in place. Yeah. Four-legged rebel with a rotor stir tail in the circus of the sky. They never fail. CiottiFPV, Teddy Spaghetti, dynamic duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed, they zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Shotty's on sticks, Teddy's on paws. Side by side, legends breaking all the laws. Through the kitchen, over couch scale terrain. Backyard mayhem in their flight domain. No ground too sacred, no loop too tight. Fuzz, fuel, fury ignites the night. When pilot and pup lock eyes on the prize, every whoop they conquer is a fresh cut surprise. Yeah, yo, Shotty behind the sticks, Teddy's leading the pack. Prop guard missiles unleashed, never looking back. No leash, no map, just freestyle mic. They on the dog drone streets every day and night. Said whoops, hitting low, gotta nail the dive. Teddy push throttle up, feel the beast come alive. I see the neon arc, got the sticks locked in. Teddy, yeah. Let's rip this loop, ride the roar of the wind. Teddy, yep, yeah. CiottiFPV, Teddy Spaghetti, diamond and duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed, zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Teddy Spaghetti, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed, things zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Yeah, when you hear that bar cut the rotor hum, you know Ciotty and Teddy's mission's just begun. FPV's fur-faced legends, legends singing loud. Yeah, Teddy Spaghetti and CiottiFPV always proud.